Hi everyone. Hello, this is Preeti here from Lakshmi. Thank you everyone for joining in. Hi Aishwarya. Hi Ria. Hi Nikki. Hey Nidhi. Thank you. Thank you ladies for joining us this evening. We will just wait for our guests to join in, but I hope all of you are doing well. Hi Tashi. Okay, so we're talking about something very interesting today. We're talking about gold. And I think as women, gold is something that comes very, very instinctively to us, right? Before we understood anything else, we understood gold. But there's a lot that has changed when it comes to investing in gold. So that's what we're going to talk about. Aishwarya, Lakshmi old app was more nice than the new one. Oh, Aishwarya, just wait. We are still launching the new sprints. Point taken. I loved the old app as well, but I'm very excited about the new one, especially after a couple of days. Hi, Avanthika, you're here. Can you just... Oh, great. Right. I've sent a request to Avanthika. We'll just wait for her to join in.
Hi, Preeti.
Hi, Avanthika. How are you?
I'm fine. What about you? Hope all well.
All good, all good. So we've come a we've come like an entire circle, right, Avantika? Um,
Absolutely.
so,
Yeah.
ladies, I have with me Avantika. She's the head of alliances for Mompresso. I'm sure a lot of you are aware about Mompresso and follow Mompresso, are part of that community. Avantika is also the founder of Fit Moms, and but as women, I think we know each other, or we tend to recognize each other as holistic people. And I can tell she's a great dancer. I keep prompting her to put out some videos of her dances. And Avantika and I first met when she was doing something for Mompresso, and she came to, get my inputs from on what Lakshmi is doing, what are we building, etc. So we've come back a full circle, and today we are here talking about gold. So Avantika, welcome, thank you, and it's so great to have this conversation.
Thank you. Thank you. First of all, it is an honor to be here talking to you about investment, something, I dreaded, talking about in the past, but recently I have started taking interest in, and definitely, life has come full circle. I have been seeing Lakshmi, following Lakshmi, and in a way, I can say that, my first decisions towards taking my own financial decisions, in a way, were influenced by Lakshmi and by you when I started interacting with you and with the app and watching and following the app, and then I realized, okay, my financial decisions should be made by me and not anyone else. So it's a brilliant app and a brilliant, in fact, an initiative taken by Lakshmi to make women aware about their own financial, decisions and how to invest soundly, because women mostly don't invest because I feel, being a woman, that they feel that they don't have the confidence. But Lakshmi is making that possible for women. So it's a great initiative, a great platform.
Great, Avantika. Thank you for your kind words. And yes, we are very excited at Lakshmi for what we are building, and we continue. We are building the app. We are sort of, we've just got the community of the app in the new version. So there is Women Talking Money. It's a platform where women are talking about money. So we're very excited about that. And of course, investing. And I think our purpose is to make sure that women start looking at their money, start handling their money themselves. So yeah, it's great. I mean, being part of Lakshmi and having, of course, I have a very exciting team which works along with me. So Avantika, very quickly, you said you've sort of started paying attention to your investments. So do you call your investments yourself, and what all do you invest in, if I may ask?
So I have fortunately, I have been taking a lot of interest in financial decisions and investing for the last, I think, 8 to 10 years now. But वो होता है that you have somebody doing it for you, so you don't take interest yourself. But recently, like a couple of years back, I started getting involved more and asking more questions and finding out more about myself to, also what are the things that I should be investing, because I was realizing that I'm putting in a lot of money into mutual funds and other investments, but I was not able to understand, where all that money was going and how is it, turning out to be, maybe giving me benefits later on. So which is why, I thought, okay, it's time. There comes a time in your life when you want to be in control of everything that you do. And this was one part of my life that I was not in control. And that's when I realized, no, enough is enough. Now I should start looking after it myself. So I invest heavily in mutual funds. I also have recently started taking interest in STP and in in gold bonds, and also in usual financial investments, like in fact even buying gold or doing a fixed deposit in a bank.
Great, Avanthika. You can't imagine my happiness when I talk to a woman who says, "Oh, I've taken charge of my money and I invested in mutual funds and I invested in SGBs, etc." Right? So, and I think it's great that you don't put all your money in one place, that you've diversified it over different buckets. And while this is a session that we've totally dedicated to gold, I'm sure we'll talk more about, how do you look at that diversification, etc. But tell me,
Absolutely.
I'd like to get in some perspective here when it comes to women and investing in gold. So, it is not surprising to hear that if you go to women and you say, look, start your investment journey, and here are two options, right? Look, start with mutual funds or start with gold. Invariably, because we have a comfort with gold, the first thing we take up is gold, right? Okay, I'll invest into gold. So tell me, for you, is gold something that comes as instinctively, and how do you invest in gold? And have you, like, when you started investing, were you investing into gold? Did you begin with gold or you started with mutual funds? And when you began with gold, what did you start investing?
So honestly, Preeti, a lot of it comes from our families, right? We have seen our mothers buying gold as a way to invest in the future of their daughters, or just to keep something at home for in case of an emergency. So that's what I think. It's inherently a trait that we have taken from our families. So I knew that you should be investing in gold because it's one thing that's risk free. In fact, if the market is good, it grows. It doesn't really give you any kind of a loss. But when I was looking at investing, surprisingly, I did not really look at investing in gold, because I have a lot of my wedding jewelry and other jewelry that I have and that I don't use. And honestly, women of today, they want to buy something that they can use. It could be diamonds, it could be any other, even trinkets, even like artificial jewelry, something that they can use and wear in their daily lifestyle. So which is why I never really thought of investing in gold. But later on, when I started investing here and there, I realized, okay, some of it should go into gold also, because when it comes to having something that's a money or an investment that is parked in safely, gold is the answer. So yeah.
No, I think it's great, because you must be one of the few women who didn't really start with gold. But typically, I think most women would find a lot of comfort in putting, and we would, right? Traditionally, we bought jewelry saying, okay, now
Absolutely.
It always was that it is safe haven. I'm putting my money into something. And gold was preferred because you knew that you could sell it at any point in time and get money.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But I think the concept of investing into putting money into jewelry is no longer considered investment, because of impurity. When you go to sell it, you money get back, etc. And there are newer ways of investing in gold now. So tell me, where do you invest your money in gold? What form of gold do you invest in?
So initially, when I did not have a lot of knowledge, I went the usual way and bought jewelry and bangles. In fact, even gold biscuits and coins later on. But recently, I have bought liquid gold bonds. And in fact, I have started interacting with my financial advisor as well. And he recommended, okay, if you really want to invest and you're worried about not investing in STPs and SIP because you don't know and you don't want to take a risk, because women and in fact men also don't want to take a big risk. I said, why don't you buy some gold bonds, and gold only rises, so you can sell it when the price is high. So yeah, that's how I started investing in gold.
Super amazing. So I'm sure then you have a lot of questions around gold bonds, etc. And
Yes.
from Lakshmi's end, I'm here to sort of, bring all the facts to the table when it comes to gold bonds and gold bonds versus other ways of investing into gold. So it's your turn to shoot a question.
Yeah. So, Preeti, I had lots of questions because honestly, I've not really invested that much in gold bonds. And like we were talking about sovereign gold bonds, though traditionally we all buy gold from our family jeweler or from the hi-fi gold shopping arcades that have come up now. But the first question that I had in mind when we are in fact discussing this also was, how are gold bonds, different from, say, buying traditional gold? How is it different? And if you could explain that.
Okay, great. So, Avanthika, there are different ways that you can invest or put your money. I think the traditional was buying physical gold, whether it was jewelry, gold coins, etc. Right? Now, all came with the risk of, getting stolen, the risk of impurity. So you have to put it in a locker or you have to get it insured. And so with a lot of, sort of taking care and managing that investment because it was in the physical form. What has happened in the last few years, in fact, the last decade and more, is that now you can electronically invest into gold or invest into what is known as digital gold or electronic. Now, what that means is that you don't have to physically have that gold with you. So you don't need to have the gold coin, gold bar, or gold jewelry, whatever it may be. And you don't have to have a locker. You don't have to take care of its safety, etc. So it is in the form of an electronic holding. Right? Now, again, within that, there are a lot of ways of buying gold. There's gold mutual funds where you can invest, smaller amounts. There are gold ETFs, which in one by one all of these, right? But these are all electronic formats. There's digital gold where the can convert into physical gold at some point in time. But to me, one of the exciting ways and the the smartest way of investing into gold is investing through gold sovereign bonds, right? The sovereign bond. Now, this is a very it's a great product. And do you know why it was introduced? Do you know how it came about?
I would want to know more, because the next question was that only. What are sovereign gold bonds? Yeah.
Here's the thing, right? So as Indians, we consume a lot of gold. We buy a lot, right? We are the highest consumers of gold. And therefore, every time we consume gold, we have to import gold, right? And when we import gold, increases the import bill of the government. That means the government has to pay dollars, or the country is paying dollars. Whoever's importing it, the country is paying dollars to get that gold, right? Now, our government obviously doesn't want, money to go out and increase our import bill. So the government's way of, sort of telling us is that, listen, we know that you love gold. As Indians, you love gold, right? But here, we're giving you an opportunity of buying gold, but in a smarter way, so that the government or the country doesn't have to import more gold. So what it said, will issue bonds to you. These are gold bonds, right? So the government issues bonds to the citizens or to the public at large, and you and I, if we want to invest, we can just buy those bonds instead of buying gold. The beauty is that the backing it. It is the government that is those bonds, right? Government, it reduces the country's import bill, and as the government to encourage you to sort of reduce your import bill, it says that buy these gold bonds, we will give 2.5% every year. Okay, so not only are you buying the value of gold, you're investing so that when the price of gold increases, the value of your bonds will also increase in tandem, exactly by the price of gold.
Yeah.
2.5% return, right?
Okay.
So suppose
Yeah.
prices rise 10% in a year, your return would be 2.5% because the
2.5.
giving you another 2.5%.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the first thing. Second thing, the government says that, if you hold it for 8 years, right? If you buy these bonds and you hold it for 8 years, whatever return you make. So, suppose the gold today is 40,000, tomorrow it goes to 60,000, goes to 80,000. That return that you make, you will not pay tax on it. Now imagine you're buying something which is giving you a return of, even 8% or 9% every year. And it is tax free because if you can keep it for 8 years, you're actually investing into a very safe asset, which is also beating inflation, right? So your money is growing more. So that's the other beauty of the product. But the government also says that you need not lock in. If you're buying it, doesn't mean that you keep it for 8 years. You do have the ability to sell it at any point in time. So you can buy it today, sell it. If you sell it tomorrow or in a particular period of time, you don't get the tax benefit. So if you sell it between 5 and 8 years, there's a differential tax treatment. If you sell it before 5 years, there's a differential tax treatment, right? But you still stuck with it. It's not like, oh, I bought it, I have to keep it for 8 years. Tomorrow, if you need, you can sell it at a point in time. And then you can, even if within a year, 2 years, whenever you need, you always have the ability to liquidate it or get it, right? So that's why I find, to me, if you want to invest into gold and if you want to invest long term, there is nothing better than gold, right? So
that definitely answers the question of if you're looking at long-term investment, for those who are watching. In fact, there was a question, Preeti, we were talking about getting tax exemption. So Ashish is asking, the tax will only be on the returns or on the whole amount?
So the tax, so typically the 2.5% interest that you get, that is as per your tax slab. You will have to pay tax on it. But the returns that you make, keep it for and by the way, this 2.5% is paid to us semi-annually, so twice a year, right? That interest goes into your account if you're holding it, and this you have to pay interest tax on, right? The return that you make, which is the buy price, the sell price minus the buy price, the return that you. If you've kept it for 8 years, it's completely tax free. You don't pay. Right? If you keep it between, say, 5 years to 8 years, right? If you hold that between, say, you sold it after 5 years, but before 8 years, then typically, if your holding is more than 36 months, then you pay 20% tax, irrespective of what tax slab you are in. You may be in a 33% tax slab, but you will pay 20%. And even in that, you get indexation benefits. Now, that may be a very difficult concept to explain to people who don't know what indexation is. But simply put, you will pay 20% tax, but out of that, you can deduct whatever has inflation. So, for example, if you've held it for 3 years, 4 years, and the interest is then you can actually, you will be paying very, very small amount tax because you will get a benefit of it. So it's actually less than, 4 or 5 or 8% tax, depending on the inflation, right? So if you sell it, if you hold it for more than 36 months, that is 3 years. But if you hold it for less than 3 years, then you come in the normal tax slab, whatever you are in. So ideally, it's very, even if you hold it for 3 years, you're getting an additional 2.5%. Because in all other ways of holding gold, whether it's gold fund, gold ETF, you're still paying the same tax treatment, right? But hold it for between 3 to 5 years, more than 36 months and up to 8 years, then you're actually, paying, you get indexation benefit and you are getting the percent. But if you hold it for 8 years, it's completely exempt.
Completely tax free.
Comparable to all other electronic instruments, which is your gold mutual funds, gold ETFs, it's the same tax treatment, right?
Yeah.
But an additional 0.5% interest, remember that. After 8 years, completely tax exempt, and there is no other gold investment instrument, which is completely tax exempt.
Yes, yes, that's really an important point to remember. I would just take on some comments, Preeti, if you allow me.
Yeah, yeah.
There are some lots of people who are saying that this is one of the rare and very important conversations that women should be discussing. I actually second that, because women run away from financial decisions and making investments, and it's high time, they take their own finances in their own command. There was another question from Priya. Priya is a follower that follows me from Toronto, and she's saying, can she also invest in such a option in that part of the world?
Yeah, unfortunately, if you are an NRI or an NRO, you cannot invest in sovereign bonds. For Indian citizens. So yeah, fortunately not.
Yeah. There is another question. Yeah, so there was a question which was again interesting, because originally we used to buy gold because we used to transfer it to the next generation. So there is a question by Junaid, says that can you also transfer your gold bonds to your next generation? Can you do that?
Yeah, absolutely. You can transfer the bonds to your next generation. There's a great way of doing it. I usually recommend creating, making trusts that when you want to pass on wealth to your children, spouse, etc. A great way of doing it is to create trust, put all of this in trust. You can do mutual funds, you can do gold bonds. But to the next generation as well. However, again, please remember that transferring it means also that there is a new holder. So suppose if somebody transferred it to me, then I become a new buyer. So it is, then my 8-year journey, tax exemption journey, starts from the day I hold it. But it can be easily done. Yeah. So I actually love Shweta's comment. Says, wow, now that's totally bling. Absolutely, it's all totally bling. Buying SGBs is bling.
Totally, and women making their own financial decisions is even better, I think. So, Preeti, if I really want to buy a sovereign gold bond, how should I go about it? And if I plan to liquidify it, what are some ways I can do that?
Okay, so typically gold sovereign bonds are issued by the RBI, and they have distributors that they appoint. You can buy banks, you can buy through the distributors. You can also buy it through a lot of people like us, like Lakshmi. For example, if you want to buy gold sovereign bonds, you can just let know your interest on the app and we can help you buy it. One of the things I forgot to mention about also gold sovereign bond is that is probably the only way of buying gold which has nil cost. So you have no cost of buying it, right? Because if you buy it through physically, we know that there is a lot of cost. But if you buy a gold mutual fund, then there are the AMC cost. If you buy an ETF, there is a brokerage cost. Right? So on buying gold sovereign bonds, you don't really need to. There is no expense. So you can buy it through anybody, the same cost to you, whether you buy Lakshmi or you buy through a bank, etc. So you simply have to, typically every month there is a 7-day window when the RBI issues. You have to, if you want, buy a gold sovereign bond in the first 7 days, you can always show your interest and buy it in that window, and it is typically the first week of the month normally. However, sovereign gold bonds are also traded on the exchange, so there is a secondary market where also you can go and buy, but that is it. That there might be a spread between a buy and sell price. For example, doing it will be at the, say, 20 rupees, because they decide the price a month. So whatever is the the current price, it is possible if you buy in the secondary market, price may be a little different, but it's not a huge difference, right? So you can buy it on both places, directly through the RBI or on the exchange, right? And it is typically in the days. You need nothing to buy a gold sovereign bond, just a bank account through which you transfer that money, and you will get that bond once you've bought it. Within 7 days, you get a certificate, right? However, think that you may need to sell a gold bond before its maturity, which is before 8 years, it's a good idea to open a demat account, because then
Okay.
for demat account you can sell it at any point in time, because you need to access the secondary market, which is the exchange, for which you will need. So then if you feel that it's something you might want to sell earlier, open a demat account and hold it in that. So that's how you buy it. And similarly, to sell it, either you hold it till maturity, so you can again, 8 years, you've come to 8 years, you can always give it back. You can resell it to the RBI, will buy back those bonds, or you can, like I said, secondary market at any point in time. Yeah. So somebody's saying, so does this mean buying gold bonds are better than buying physical gold? Look, buying electronic gold is better than buying physical gold. Within electronic gold, buying sovereign gold bonds is better than gold mutual funds, gold ETFs, right? Now, the only reason why you would buy any other electronic gold is if you have to buy gold sovereign bonds, you have to buy, the minimum is 1 gram. So which means a 4,000-5,000 rupees investment at one go. But in a mutual fund, you can buy 100 rupees worth, right? Worth of gold. So if you want to buy lesser than that ticket size, you would probably buy through a mutual fund or an ETF. But otherwise, if you're able to buy that 1 gram at one go, then gold sovereign bonds are the best way of buying gold. Better than physical, better than electronic forms.
Yeah. And you were talking about mutual funds also, since we are at it, how is buying in gold bonds different from mutual funds? I mean, because most of the financial advisors that you talk to, even people generally, public at large you talk to, they all say that best way to invest these days is mutual funds. So if I do a comparison, how is it better than investing in mutual funds?
So there is one respect in which buying gold mutual funds is better, and that is when you want to do very small amounts, right? So you want to buy 100, 500 rupees, then that you would do through a mutual fund, right? But SGBs or sovereign gold bonds are better because, first of all, there is no cost to buying it. And whereas in a mutual fund, you have the of 1.5%, right? So that is a cost that you pay annually, which is always, if the gold price is 100, then that 1.5% will be deducted before you get your return. So your returns are impacted. Second, that you get this 2.5% additional return in sovereign gold bonds, which you don't get in mutual funds. Return increases by 2.5% every year. And remember, 2.5% compounded over a long period of time magnifies, right? That and then 2.5% on it every year, right? So it magnifies. Third piece, of course, is that you hold it for 8 years. This is completely tax-free. Otherwise, you would be paying. If the tax slab that you fall in, that's the amount of tax you would be paying. So therefore, it's a huge benefit if you can buy that 1 gram at one time, which is 4,000 to 5,000, whatever is the current price of gold at that time. Then there is no confusion about that, right? And this is the.
Nirmika is saying financial independence and prudent investments for all women. Nirmika, thank you for joining. Absolutely, I agree with you on that. There was a question which I was seeing, Preeti, and it was interesting. Like gold, can bonds be accepted as mortgage by companies like, say, Muthoot?
Yeah, I mean, actually, Muthoot is great if you want to sort of use gold jewelry as a pledge. Why? Because if you take it to banks, if you take it to other institutions lending, you may not get that amount of they may not. In fact, gold lending typically is curbed by banks and a lot of other institutions, right? But a bond is actually an electronic. It is a great product which even a bank will lend you money on, which a lot of people will lend you money on, right? Go to banks, go to NBFCs, go to anybody, because you have that holding. It's a collateral. It's a stronger collateral than even jewelry. which means that you would possibly get a loan on it with just a 20% haircut, whereas on jewelry it will be anywhere between 30 to 40% haircut. So absolutely, it's far more powerful and valid product to take a loan on, as good as stocks, mutual funds.
Yeah.
So it's great. Hi, Nirmika. Thank you for joining in. Yeah, Nirmika agrees. So glad. So we have powerful women here who are investing, and I'm so glad to all of these women. Great.
Yeah. In fact, there was a question, Preeti, asked by Zufin. She says that how are you planning to even spread financial awareness even further through your platform, Lakshmi? Because of course you are doing a great job already. But what are some things that you've planned out for the future?
Okay, so what we do, and you are aware of this, Avanthika, is that we do a lot of fitness boot camps, right from basic session to really detailed sessions with each asset class, covering each asset class, and very centered and catered towards the way women think about money, the way we look at money, our life goals, our life stages, which are very different from men, right? So what Lakshmi does. On our platform also, like we said, we've just got the community on board, and on Monday we are launching the next sprint. Our idea is to have a lot of conversations on the app around money, challenges, opportunities. Right, do it on our Facebook group, being Lakshmi. And what we are now doing is actually building products. So right now we have, for example, on the platform, we have mutual funds, we have sovereign gold bonds, we have, we help on it with insurance queries, etc. But we are building in newer, interesting products, which will make investing for women very, very easy, like, fractionalized investing. For example, diversifying your portfolio. You could pay 1,000 rupees and diversify it across mutual funds, equities, debt, gold, fixed deposits. We are also getting savings accounts very soon. So you'll be able to actually open savings accounts through Lakshmi. So you actually can do all your money pieces just on Lakshmi. You don't need to really step outside. And I think the beauty is that this is a platform like by all of us women for all of us women, right? So the products also and the conversations are all very, very centered towards women. So we will continuously, our aim is to make, earning, saving, spending and investing money a very simple journey for women. So we will be building products in each of these categories as we go forward. So including a far more, for example, somebody asked this question on borrowing against gold bonds, right? That is something that also that's in our roadmap, where we will build in a product where women can actually borrow at a far lesser cost, and they are able to get it at much better terms. So loads of things, very exciting things that we're doing.
Yeah, and all those who want to take their own financial decisions, Lakshmi is the app that you should be joining in.
Yeah,
and get all the information that you need.
We do the financial fitness boot camps, which Avanthika, we've done for more than 80,000 women over the last 1 year. And it's very, very fulfilling for us. And I think women who've done these they've removed that self-doubt from their mind and really started their journey of investing, which is most fulfilling for all of us.
That's amazing. That's amazing to hear.
Yeah. So great. I actually have a question for you, and especially because you represent Mom Presso and you have your own community as well. You're the Fit Mom champion. And because this conversation is also around moms, Avanthika, do you talk money to your children? Do you discuss investing or saving or anything with your children?
Absolutely, in fact, my daughter reads a lot, and so when she was 5 years old, she had this thought in her head that she wants to, 5 or 6, I think, that she wants to go to Cambridge to study because all the authors and writers she was reading about or reading books written by had been to Cambridge in some part of their lives. So she has started, collecting her own Cambridge fund, and whatever money she gets,
Wow.
that's how it is in Indian families. The elderly give some money to you, or your mom gives you some money. So she has been collecting that money and saving it. Apart from that, also, whatever money she has, I tell her that why don't you buy it from your own money if you really like it, if you really want to buy something. So we definitely talk about it as a family, because I think we were in fact discussing about financial education for women, in fact for everybody, being a life skill, because it's extremely important to be in the know-how of what you are doing, what you should be doing with your own money. Like women traditionally, in fact, otherwise also depend on the men of the family to invest, and surprisingly 80% of the decisions when it comes to buying anything in the household are taken by women. But when it comes to investing the very same money, women take a step back. So that's really ironical. And so I think, which is why it's important to start young. And we have been teaching her a lot about saving money. She also has her own bank account. So whatever money she has, she tells me, can I just put it in my bank? So, talking about these things, inculcating these habits in her of saving, and, maybe having your own fund and saving that money to later on buy something for yourself, is I think they're all steps towards making her more aware towards finances.
Great, Avantika. I think more power to you and more power to her and the Cambridge Fund. And I think it's very interesting because, it's interesting you mentioned this. So we did this survey around Diwali last year, where we spoke to, we spoke to, I think, about 2,000 women across different cities.
Mm.
And we spoke to single women, we spoke to married women, and we spoke to women with children. And it was very
Mm.
that, you know, I think less than some 30% women, single women, took their financial decisions. Most of them, so even 70% left it to their father, brother, whoever, right?
Mm.
And they got
Mm.
married, that 30% came down to 26%, right? So then
Oh.
even lowered. And the minute they had a child, that percentage came down to around 20%, right? And it was just, and when we reached to children, we also asked children actually that,
Mm.
like who teaches you how to save, etc. And all of them said, 90% moms teach us. My mommy's given me a piggy bank, she's teaching us.
Mm.
Then we say, okay,
Yeah.
who manages money? And it was mostly, most children said dad, right? So I to
Yeah.
role models like you more and more. I think for us, it's important for us as women to become role models for our children so that they know that managing money, especially for girls, I equally for boys, they know that it's an equal, it's sharing the load on that as well. I think it's people have to, the man and the woman, they have to be equal partners in this as well, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. Because somehow, traditionally, when it came to taking decisions related to finances, buying something, buying property, women or girls of the family were never involved. I think these are the changes that you should make, discussing with your family, with your daughters, with your kids, and I think that's how we can make them more financially aware.
Absolutely. No, I totally buy that. And I think it's all our responsibility also as women to sort of, take that up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm glad you're setting the tone, and I'm glad that we spoke about gold. I think especially because gold is a very important part of our what we call in financial terms asset allocation, or simply put,
Yes.
your portfolio, because you don't, it's like saying don't put all your eggs in one basket. You put, some part of your money into gold. But today gold, no,
Hmm.
buying gold jewelry, buying gold coins,
Hmm. Hmm.
buy in a very, very smart way. um
Hmm.
so I think this was a great conversation. Avantika, is there, I don't know if there are questions on gold, on SGP. Let's, maybe we can take it. Hi Ritu, it's good to see you too. Thank you. Avantika, somebody's telling you that smile is so pretty. Can you just keep smiling? Ritika says her daughter wanted to know why they don't teach investment in school. That's very unfortunate. I think our schools, our colleges, our higher education institutes, nobody teaches you how to invest or grow your money. They all teach you how to earn money, and
Yeah.
hope that changes very soon. But um, Ritika, you can make, we also do sessions for children, by the way, where we teach them the basics of saving and what does it mean to grow your money. What does, the effect of compounding, what does it mean? So whenever we do it next, please, we'll please make your daughter attend it, because these are lessons you learn. It's a life skill that you learn.
Absolutely. Let me also know, even I would like my daughter to attend that.
Absolutely, very soon. So Lakshmi team, if you're listening, let's schedule one very soon, right? So
Yeah.
um, okay, and then we have a question around: can you suggest few gold ETFs to invest? Shweta, we do sort of, if you come to the Lakshmi app, there will be a few suggestions that we make. Again, my suggestion to you is really, if you want to invest into gold, try and invest long term, because gold has become very volatile. We've seen, right? Prices really move up and down very, very. So don't invest it for a very short term. Invest it for a long term. And if you do invest it for a long term, in terms of cost of investing, the highest cost on electronic is gold ETF, because you still pay brokerage, you have to have a demat account, etc. World over ETFs are much cheaper to invest in, by the way. It's only in India, not wide yet.
Yeah.
So gold ETFs are the most expensive, then gold mutual funds, then gold sovereigns, right? So look at it that way. My suggestion is don't buy gold for a short term. It should be part of your long term investment strategy. But if you come to the app, you'll find it there.
Rahul, Rahul is saying, thanks for joining. Rahul is saying, superb conversation. I think men should also start investing in gold. In fact, that reminded a question that I had in mind when we started this conversation. Preeti, you encounter so many, people who want to invest, or they are looking at options. So, who do you find take more risk, are willing to take more risk, whether men or women, who take more risk when it comes to investing?
So I think there is, the world has always said that men take risk and women don't take risk. I don't agree with.
Yeah.
I think women also can take risk as long as they know what is the risk they are taking. So the term I use is not risk averse; they are very risk aware. So we like
Yes.
to find out, right? That what does it mean
Mm-hmm.
here? What does it mean? How safe is my money, right? So I think
Yeah.
women also have the ability to take risk, but they
Mm-hmm.
they probably give it more thought before they put their money anywhere. Um, Also, the difference between men and women is that men today, when it comes to financial products, will immediately transact, right? If you tell them, listen, this is cryptocurrency, this is this, you will double your money or this will grow very quickly, they will try with a small amount immediately.
Exactly.
But with
Exactly.
women, no, let me first watch, let me find out more. Even if I'm putting 10 rupees, I should know what is going to happen to that, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
we know that, then we decide, okay, this works for me or doesn't work for me, right? So yes,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, no, both men and women take calculated risk. I think both can take, but I just feel that women take their time over understanding, and only when
Yeah. Yeah.
they get into it.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
women are more patient, as in they are more disciplined, so actually they make for better investments. But also,
Yeah, so that's what my financial advisor also told me, that surprisingly men, like you were saying, tend to lose their cool, quickly, because they can't see the same rate of return as investment. So, which is why women, he says, are more patient. They are willing to wait it out. They're willing to see how the market is, changing. I'm
absolutely.
so glad that you spoke about it. Yeah.
So, and to Rahul's point, Rahul, there are a lot of men who invest into gold sovereign bonds or gold ETFs, mutual funds. I think anybody who's diversifying their portfolio, especially if the amount of investment is very large, people tend to put 5% of their money to gold, so including men. So yeah, absolutely, totally. Um, and again, Rahul, at the same question, physical gold versus SGB. SGB any
Yeah.
day, right? because it is more cost. There is cost to investing. There is the tax rebate. There is an added in. No, I mean there is no two ways about it. So if even if you shook me in the middle of the night and asked me, physical gold SGB, I would say SGB.
So I'm definitely investing in SGB. I hope others who are listening are too making a decision right now.
10% of your portfolio in gold is a good idea. Also,
Okay.
gold typically has given you, if you count the last 2 years, anywhere between 8 to 10% annualized return over the last 20 years. So if you had for last 20 years, it would have given you 8 to 10% return. And like I said, in a SGB, it is interest-free, tax-free, post-tax, if it is 8 to 10%, it's a great investment because you're beating inflation, right? So your money,
absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely.
and one of the safest asset classes that we know, right?
Absolutely.
Great. So I think that's great. And we have questions around fixed deposits and, Vaishali Jadhav is saying after bond years, how do you reap the benefit? So it's great actually. After 8 years, you can hold it for as long as you want. It is tax free. So the benefit is always accruing to you. You can hold it and it will, no matter how long you hold it, after 8 years, whatever returns you make will be tax free, tax exempt, right? So, absolutely. Lavita, can you invest X amount in it for 8 years? Yes, you can leave it. So you can, if you invest for 5,000 rupees today, you can leave it for 8 years. Whenever you invest the next 5,000 rupees, you leave that for the next 8 years, right? So, yeah, absolutely.
I'm so happy to see these questions being asked by women.
Yeah.
So happy. Yeah.
Absolutely. Shweta is asking, which year did RBI start SGB? RBI has been constantly issuing gold bonds. As long as I can remember, the first time they offered it was about 20 years back. So each time, this comes back to the same thing. When we are buying a lot of gold and our import bill as a country is increasing, the government does come out with gold bonds and issues gold bonds so that, and it holds gold as its reserve. So against that, in any ways has an underlying issues. Against that, it issues bonds. So it's called, ek tir se, like, do kaam ho jate hain government ke, that import bill be and the government is also able to raise money from us, right? So, yeah, long back, and government will continue to do it. However, there is no guarantee that they will continue to do this month on month. So, as in when they feel that, okay, there is right now the import of gold has reduced, they stop the gold bonds.
What is the best time to buy SGB? In fact, I had also this question and then we got lost in the conversation.
Okay.
Nisha is asking.
So the best time to buy SGB is when you want to put money to gold and the government is issuing SGB. Please buy it. Don't try to time the market. Don't think that, oh, now the prices have increased so much, so I should not buy. Or the prices have fallen, so I should not. This is a great time to buy more. Just keep in mind that, try and keep it for at least long term. So it doesn't matter. And if you're buying it for long term, then you can also buy it in, pretty much do like an SIP. So buy like 1 gram every time you buy. You're able to make it like that. But it over a long term period, it will not make a difference when you buy it. So don't try to time the market.
Yeah.
Shweta, more power to you that you are buying more and more. Please do. But remember, don't put all your money into gold, right? We are also saying that put 5 to 10% of your investment, but not all your money into gold. So, super. I think this was great, Avanthika. Good to talk to you, and so much, really. So, wishing you more power for all that you do, and particularly for showing the way, being an example for all the people who are aiming to invest their money. So
thank you so much for inviting me today. It was an honor and a pleasure to be talking to you and having this wonderful discussion, which is the need of the hour. Like we said, Lakshmi, just before we end it, Lakshmi is the goddess and everybody worships Lakshmi, and it's given so much importance, in our families, in Hindus and in various families. But when it comes to taking care of that Lakshmi, women run away, you know. So when it comes to worshipping it, they're the first ones, you know, ye bhi kar lo, wo bhi kar lo. But so I think women should be taking charge of their own Lakshmi, and Lakshmi is doing a great job, and Preeti is really leading the front there. And thank you for inviting me today here to be a part of this conversation.
Thank you, Avanthika, and thank you everyone for joining us. It's been a great pleasure chatting with Avanthika. And Avanthika, please put us a good dance video soon, please. I really,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely on your request. And in fact, the other people also requesting. So absolutely, I'll do so.
Great. Super. And thank you everyone for joining us. I hope this was helpful. Please send questions on Lakshmi. You can follow us on Instagram, be a part of our Being Lakshmi group. You can download our app. Keep asking us questions. We are very happy to clear all your doubts, and keep investing. Invest, more power to you, and be your own goddess. Like Avanthika said, be your own Lakshmi, right? That's
Absolutely.
for. Thank you so
Absolutely.
Thanks, Avanthika, and good night, everyone. Bye bye.